Great place to watch football games. Check it out at lacasacigars.com.
From birthdays to business meetings, or just because, Craze makes every moment delicious.
Hey. Yeah. March Madness, baby. What's happening? Hope everybody has a good weekend. Big weekend, long week for Clay and I. All right. Got my Arnold Palmer. Here we go. Let's hydrate. Played pickleball this morning and did a 1-hour podcast on the Academy Awards. How about that? All before noon. You know where Stonebridge Park is? It's up by like kind of Al's Garage. And where I played today. Nice. Nice place. All right, let's do this. It's been Maxx Crosby week all week. I'd like to be done with it, but I don't think we can be done with it, right?
Silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice. We're going to do it the right way. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we open it up, and we are live today on the flagship of the Silver and Black. This is Raider Nation Radio and all over the globe on my YouTube channel, JT the Brick, YT. You can watch for free. And become a member, become a bricklayer. There's prizes. Man, we got a brick house bracket contest coming out. Yeah, Sunday, the brackets come out. I love seeing your bracket. I do. And it's a Modelo Friday. I have a bucket of Modelos waiting for me. I actually told my wife this morning, make sure, and Fred Bolitnikoff watches, he loves this. He actually introduced me at an event saying his wife has a bucket of Modelos ready for him on Friday. She does. In about an hour, my wife will take my Modelos out of my outside fridge and she'll put them on ice. And they'll be glimmering in the sun and the ice will be melting all over my Modelos. And then I will have my bucket of Modelos and start my weekend because this is one hell of a week. I started off Sunday with my mom and dad. I got on a plane and flew back all the way through Kansas City, back to Vegas. I hit the ground Monday with doubles every day for the first 2 days and Maxx Crosby. Now, I want to begin the show by saying that I don't get too overly dramatic. Okay, I'm not here to say, oh, my God, I had a tough week. Clay and I went through so much. Oh, my God, we're so drained. If I ever do that, throw me out of here. Just get rid of me. I'll never do that. I'm built on passion and energy. But wow, what a week. I mean, how many radio shows did I go on as a guest for free? How many podcasts did I did? How many shows did I did all on the same topic? Maxx Crosby. How many phone calls did I take from friends asking me about it? How many text messages did I have to answer about Maxx Crosby? Jeez, give me a break. It's the weekend. Modelo. Let's go. I mean, I had a long week, man. Luckily, I don't put out oil fires. I'm not up there putting your power back on in a bucket for the electric company. I don't have a difficult job. I'm not a police officer, fireman, and I don't serve the country in the military. But this week was a royal pain in the butt because I got it right. And that's the focus of the monologue brought to you by Modelo. Let's review what I said. Let's go back in the hot tub time machine. What did I say for the last 2-3 weeks? I hope that Maxx Crosby doesn't get traded. No, I even went further. I don't think Maxx Crosby should be traded. On the record, on the Raider station, no less. Okay? Some of you scoundrels. On the Raider station, I said, don't trade him. He's our best player. Don't trade him. We're not better without him. I don't care about who comes in 14th in the Underwear Olympics. I don't care about next year's number one. I live today. Today, March 13th. You know why this is a big day? Because COVID started 6 years ago, and I'll tell you that story in a minute because I definitely am going to chronicle that. So all I said was, I hope Maxx doesn't get traded. Did I know for sure? No, I'm not John Spytek. I'm not Tom Brady. I'm not Max's agent. But I spent some time with him at the Commitment to Excellence Awards. We text back and forth. I knew he was going. I know he wanted to go to a team that he could win. Remember, that's a big caveat to this. Maxx Crosby, his decision was to leave. Okay with that. A lot of Raider fans were all right with that because he's played and it looks like it's a rebuild. It does. I don't use the word. I don't tank and I don't rebuild. So if you want to tank and rebuild, get the hell out of my life. Okay? Even last year, I met you halfway on the tanking crap. I said, don't ask me to go on the torch with Eric Allen and say we're going to tank. They'd walk me out with security. They'd walk me out of the building if I sat at the torch and said, let's lose today. JT's lighting the torch against Green Bay. I hope we lose. Never heard it from me. I don't tank. Don't care about it. Never will. That's part of my DNA. I don't tank. And I don't rebuild. Because rebuilding is gutless. You don't have to rebuild in anything in life unless your house burned to the ground in a fire or an earthquake. You don't have to rebuild your life, even if you get divorced, even if you lose a family member, God forbid. You don't have to rebuild your life. You have a life already. You just have to make it better. So you didn't hear rebuild with me, and you never heard tank with me. So you know at least what you're getting with me. You might not like it, but you know you're getting from me the consistency of my opinions. And when I'm wrong, you know where to find me. So I'm sitting there and I'm at the Super Bowl, and Jay Glazer, who's a friend for years, we both spoke at the eulogy. Jay and I spoke at the eulogy of Andrew Ashwood, my mentor, who I wrote my book, The Handoff. That's how far back I go with Jay Glazer. Okay, I think I go back with a lot of other people in regards to media members. Mike Silver, who's writing a lot. A lot of Raider fans don't like Mike Silver. Mike's always been good to me. I've been good to Mike. See each other at Super Bowl parties. It's always pleasant. Okay? You go through everybody. Diana Rossini, I don't know her. But she's making a living. Breaking news. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport are the two best. So with all that being said, I chose the side of the road that said, don't trade him, right? Don't trade him. He doesn't need to be traded. And as of today, I was right. They were wrong. Yeah, but I'm not looking to take a victory lap because Maxx could get traded before Q Myers comes on today. And if he does, I don't want to hear from trolls saying, well, he did get traded the second time and you were wrong on that. No, no one's wrong. No one's right. I'm just telling you that everybody who said he was going to get traded, as of tonight, today, they were wrong. They're not going on their shows and leading with that, are they? They're not tweeting out that they got it wrong and it was weird and it kind of strange, but they didn't get it right. No, they're on to the next one. They're on to Kyler Murray. You know, Adam Schefter breaks the story, but everybody else goes with their thumbs. I'm reporting that no, you're not reporting it. Adam Schefter reported it. You didn't. You didn't report anything on Kyler Murray. Nothing. Adam Schefter did, but you want to say you reported it. So I wanted to open up the show to say this. Been doing this 30 years in media, 50 plus years as a fan. This is one of the biggest screw-ups in NFL media history. It's not the biggest one. There's a lot of ones. We've had Spygate, Deflategate. We've had stories, a lot of weird stories, right, in NFL history, Clay? I mean, if you looked at what are the craziest stories in NFL history off the top of your head, we've had suspensions, coaches fired after games and all that. So we've had a lot of chaos over the decades.
Oh, from Spygate, Deflategate,
right.
It goes on and on.
But I believe the way this story was covered puts it on the Mount Rushmore of the worst ever stories in NFL history that everybody missed on. Prove me wrong. 702-365-9200. Prove me wrong. You know who didn't get it wrong? No one in the Raider building got it wrong. Will Kiss, director of the media, didn't put out a tweet through Raiders PR saying Maxx Crosby was officially traded. Didn't happen. He wasn't officially traded. He probably had a physical ailment that the Ravens used a loophole to get out of. But the Raiders didn't tell you he was traded. Why do you think the Raiders wait so long to put out tweets? Why? It dates back to Al Davis and Mark Davis. Are you aware when the Raiders put out a really big tweet or a statement that Mark Davis is the last guy to see it? You understand that Mark Davis is involved so closely with everything that goes out because that's what he does. Mark cares about that a lot, even if his team isn't winning. Even if his team is doing well or has a big trade or some drama, Mark will overlook the writing of the tweet, such as, we have no further comment. Who do you think that came from? That came from Mark Davis. So the Raiders didn't jump the gun. You can't criticize the Raiders. You can criticize the Ravens for the way they handled this crap. You can criticize them. because they kind of used Maxx Crosby. So with this topic, going back 2 weeks to the Commitment to Excellence Awards with Max and Rachel, going back to the story breaking when I was on the road in Florida, coming back into the building where Max was in the building on Monday, and then just, doing a lot of work this week. Man, I was on the radio a lot this week. You wonder why I want to get the hell out of here and get to Maui. And I'm sitting here back going, what a blank show. What a blank show this week was. But it was a great week for content. As I was telling Clay before the show, we have 52 weeks in a year. You take out our vacations, our time offs, our holidays, whatever it is. Say you're at 45, 46 weeks. We got a free roll this week. It's like walking into a casino and they give you the dice and say, Clay, roll all day. What do you mean if I lose? No, don't worry. Keep rolling. Don't worry. You're never going to lose. We had a free week of content Monday to Friday on Maxx Crosby. Whole week. Didn't have to do much. Didn't have to go to a 3-hour pre-show meeting like some of those scam guys. They get up, they get to the studio at 6 a.m. and there's bagels and there's lox and there's cream cheese and there's coffee. And they all sit around and they tell the host, well, this is what you missed last night. This is how we want to write your show today. Not here. I just came in every day going Max, 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 Max. And I thought the week worked out really well. We had everybody on we wanted to have on. We have wasted talent coming up at the top of next hour. Also trying to get Andrew Brandt on, the former Packer executive, who's got strong opinions on this. So today's a day that I just want to get to the weekend and get out of here in a good way. Got some stuff going on this weekend. Golden Knights game in town. Big St. Patrick's Day party tomorrow at Wahoo's on Eastern, which I'll be at with a lot of friends. Meet me there. Cool stuff going on with my wife and kids this weekend. I think what I wanted to get to this week was we cannot put this story to bed. There are too many people in the media that I respect who still believe Maxx Crosby might get traded. Oh boy. How are we going to handle that? What are we going to do on Saturday if Max gets traded to the Bears for a second, 2 seconds? I don't know, but I'll just come in and I'll do a live video on YouTube. And we'll come in and we'll do some radio. I'm doing 4 hours Sunday on Mad Dog. Catch me then. But what happens if Max doesn't get traded and he's with the team? Well, then that's the biggest story of the week. The team's much better. If you did believe in that garbage rebuild nonsense, go ask Kwity Paye if he wanted to come to the Raiders for a rebuild. Go ask these guys if they're coming to the Raiders for a rebuild. Go ask Maxx Crosby, who's been in the cafeteria in the weight room all week. Hey, Max, happy to have you back for the rebuild. You know what he'd say to you? You wouldn't want to know. No more rebuild talk. For those who did it, you were wrong. Apologize on your platforms and podcasts. Apologize that you were wrong on the rebuild. There's no rebuild going on in Las Vegas. I repeat, there is no rebuild going on in Las Vegas. I'll tell you who I talked to, Fred Bolitnikoff. Okay, no need to hide the name. You know Freddie, I talk to him every day. I talk to my dad every day. I talk to Freddie kind of twice a day. And Freddie made it clear to me on the record, we weren't talking about anything I need to hide, that everybody who comes in that building feels the pressure of winning every time they walk in the building. There's no rebuild. There's no rebuild for Fred Bolitnikoff and Eric Allen and Marcus Allen. No rebuild. Everybody walks into the building and their job is on the line daily. Daily, their job's on the line to win the day, win the meeting, win the practice, win the workout. There's no rebuild talk in the Raider Nation, but there was last couple of weeks. Everybody want to throw that out, the rebuild. Bunch of crap. You got 2 dog linebackers that came in, one from Green Bay and Philly. You think that when their private jet landed, Spy Tech met him at the tarmac and said, welcome to the rebuild? Have you lost your mind? I'm not saying the Raiders are going to the Super Bowl. They're vastly improved. They got a gift from Baltimore, a gift from the football gods that looked down from heaven with Lombardi and Landry and Mr. Davis and said, give him Max back. Baltimore's screwing with the Raiders. They're screwing over the league. You know how many people told me that the league should investigate Baltimore? No, we don't have to investigate Baltimore. Baltimore just screwed over the Raiders. We don't need an investigation. You know, I want to send everybody to the Rayburn building on Capitol Hill. Make him swear in front of Congress. Wouldn't it be great to have Eric DaCosta in front of Congress? You got a whole bunch of congressmen and women going, Mr. DaCosta, you just swore on the Bible. Tell us the truth. Did you dump out of Maxx because the price went down on Trey Hendrickson and you wanted your picks back and you got cold feet? Remember, you're under oath. Well, I don't recall that. That's what they do in front of Congress, Clay. They say, I don't recall. Former presidents and former first ladies, I would do it too. Man, you put me in front of Congress, I'd just say, I don't recall that.
I want Robert Duvall, my lawyer and godfather, too. I want an apology, Senator. An apology for my client.
I want an apology. I, JT the Brick, in the third person, I want an apology from the Baltimore Raven organization today on what they did to the Raiders. But what they do to the Raiders, they made the Raiders a lot better. A lot better. Oh, the team's so much better with Maxx than they would be without him. You had a guest on your show this morning while I was playing pickleball. Yes, you're not going to get too much of it. I was late to the party, but, man, I played pickleball this morning at Stonebridge for 2 hours. And I'm never up driving at that time. And I was listening to your show, Clay, and you had a guest on, an Indianapolis beat reporter, and you were talking about Kwity Paye.
Yeah.
And he kept telling you, he's not a great player. He's not a great player. He's a nice player. He's a good player. But if he plays opposite someone like Maxx Crosby, what did he say he could be like?
Yeah, then he becomes productive because what he's great at is stopping the run. But when you want him to be great rushing the quarterback, he needs somebody else. And in Indianapolis, they would have DeForest Buckner, but that was a defensive tackle. You get another end opposite him, and finally he'd be able to kind of come out his shell, and you'd see the multivariable, insane attack mode that he can provide.
I love what you said. So maybe we got some linebackers now. I mean, raise your hand and beat your horn if you thought the Raiders would get a couple of really good linebackers. That's another thing that I admit. I wasn't wrong on that. I didn't know, but I'm fair to admit I never thought John Spytek would get on Monday 2 really good linebackers. Look, we don't have Ray Lewis anymore and Lawrence Taylor in this league. We got 2 damn good linebackers that I didn't think we were getting in Raider Nation. Oh, my God, OMG. We got 2 new linebackers who are really good. We got a slot corner from the Bills. All he did was playing playoff game after playoff game after playoff game, picking off Lamar Jackson for a pick 6. I mean, get some good players. Tyler Linderbaum, did you see him yesterday? Paul Gutierrez interviewed him. My wife saw it on the news last night. She goes, look at the size of that guy's shoulders. Yeah, big guy. Going to be able to run the ball with him a little bit better. Oh, got a fullback yesterday. Talking to my great friend, former Raider, Teo Johnson. What a guy he is. One of my dear friends. He said it with me. Finally, we got a fullback. 1st and goal at the 1. We got a fullback leading Ashton Genty. Good luck blocking that behind our new center. Running in between the center and JPJ with a fullback. Good luck blocking that. Last year, we were running that at the goal line, and Genty's getting blown up 7 yards deep. And Gino couldn't run. God, I thought we were going to have to do all week on Gino, too. Didn't have to do that. So when I look at everything that happened this week, I kind of want to cleanse the palate. You know, you go to some of these hoity-toity restaurants, Bizarre Meat, or you go to Chef Barry's or J.O.D. at One Steak, and you have a meal, they give you a beautiful steak, and then they give you something to cleanse the palate before you have your next course. That's what we're doing today. I need to cleanse the palate. I need a break. My brain's about to explode on this Maxx Crosby misinformation week. Okay, so I want to hear from Raider Nation on how you feel about this on a Friday. How do you feel? If you don't feel great about it and you wanted to move on from Maxx, I respect your opinion. I don't agree with you. But if you wanted to move on from him and you want to get younger and you wanted the 14th pick so bad, you don't even know who the hell the 14th pick was. Stop with the 14th pick. Okay, the 14th pick's the same thing as the 19th or the 23rd pick. Okay, same chance. Okay, so the Raiders didn't get the 14th pick. They get Maxx Crosby back. But by no means am I saying it's a done deal with Maxx. And Maxx left me a very detailed voice message, very detailed, about his return. And a lot of it has to do with God, his faith, and what's in front of him, and I know what's in front of him. If Maxx is left to play for the Raiders, we are going to get one hell of a player. And the last thing that I want to mention here in the monologue was, for some reason, there's a few people that think, for whatever reason, Maxx Crosby's not the player that he was. How dare you? How dare you? Did you see him play last year with his stats on the worst team in football? The worst team in football. The Raiders were the worst team in football. Worst coach team in football, worst team in the league. And the way Max played, and now some people are saying, well, he might not be the guy. He's not damaged goods. It's a basic surgery he'll recover from. He'll be fine. He's a great player in the prime of his career. Now, if you think his prime is only going to last till he's 32, okay, fair enough. But don't tell me he's not the player that he was. But I understand why not everybody wants to come on and welcome Max back and say, oh, my God, he's back. It's the greatest day of my life. I get it. You know why you're not doing that? Because you're not sure, like I am, if he's going to be here. Right? You're not sure if he's going to be here going forward. Listen to Damien Woody today. This is interesting sound. Damien Woody, multiple Super Bowl champ, ESPN analyst. He has the right to an opinion. Here's what he thinks about Maxx Crosby in Vegas.
Can he go back to the Raiders? Can we just sync this thing up and pretend like none of this happened?
No, I don't think. No, absolutely not. You know how much your ego is struck down, getting traded away to another team, and then all of a sudden it falls through because of your physical. Like, a team gave you away. They traded you away. They told you, we don't want you anymore. Like, you're not part of our future. And that's, to me, is where it all falls. Like, Maxx Crosby's timeline and the Raiders' timeline, they're totally different. This thing should be all about Fernando Mendoza. How are you going to build around the presumptive number 1 overall pick? And that means taking an asset like Maxx Crosby and dealing them away, whether it's now, whether it's before the draft, during the summer, but at some point, they need to deal him away and focus on their future out there.
But the value, like at 2 first-round picks, yes, but at 60 cents on the dollar?
No. And by the way, the impetus for the trade was Max letting them know that he didn't want to be there anymore after the way last season ended. So if he has changed his mind on that, then I think that's a bigger deal, and it probably helps him fit back into the locker room. And if he's okay with the situation as is, then I think it can work. I think it would help Fernando Mendoza to have a player like Maxx Crosby on his defense, right? I mean, like if he's healthy and playing at the top level of his game, and he wants to be a Raider, then I think that it's conceivable that he could have him on this team.
This situation is, I would say, unprecedented when you're talking about 2 first-round picks.
All right, so that's Damien Woody, I think Dan Graziano and Peter Schrager with their opinion on that. I respect all those guys' opinions. Damien Woody says no. The toothpaste is out of the tooth. The toothpaste is left. It's done. It's gone. You can't put it back in. Okay, fair enough. That's a strong opinion. We're all right with that. I'd like him to stay. But if someone says no, and there are former players who don't think this could be patched up. And as I said, I think that Mark Davis, Tom Brady, John Spytek, and Maxx Crosby can patch this up. I don't think it's end of the world stuff. But Dan Graziano made a good point. Max wanted the trade. Max initially was comfortable in leaving to go to a better opportunity to win. He got screwed over by the Ravens. Now he comes back. What do you want him to do? Do the walk of shame like in Game of Thrones? Is that what you want Max to do? To do a walk of shame down Las Vegas Boulevard because he's back? Why not treat him like family and welcome him back? That's what I think most Raider fans are doing. Joe in Brooklyn. Start us off, Joe. What's happening?
What's up, JT? How's everything?
Doing good.
Good. Listen, Max is back, okay? The Ravens are a classless organization, okay? From the beginning, I never wanted Max to leave. I never wanted to trade him. He's got 3-4 good years left to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe he wasn't, all in on Spytek and what this guy can do to build this team up. But, whatever. Max wanted this. I think Spytek definitely, he learned last year. I don't want to get rid of good players. He knows Max is a very, very good player. He probably will be a Hall of Fame player.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for them to patch it up, listen, Max wanted out, maybe. He tried. The Ravens, did him dirty. And I really think, he wants to be back here. He doesn't want to go through this again. He had enough of it. But as far as a rebuild, what's 3 years? Fernando Mendoza might not, whatever. He's going to go through some struggles. But but the team is getting better. Just look at the day that we had, bringing in Lindebaum, the two linebackers, the corner from the Bills. I mean, the wide receiver. Everything is still built to help Mendoza out. We don't have a draft pick. And what are we getting? Two first-round draft picks was nice, but they're still unknowns. We don't know what we're getting with those picks. We know what we have in Maxx Crosby. That guy is an all-around great defensive player. He stops the run. He gets to the quarterback. I mean, he's an unbelievable locker room guy. He's already texting the new guys that are coming here and greeting them. But as far as the timeline, you know, why can't he be part of it?
He can.
The guy is, you know, I mean, half the NFL was calling and wants the guy on the team. Why wouldn't we want him back? Why wouldn't anybody want him back? But that's what I have to say.
Okay, yeah. A lot of people want him back. I never wanted him to leave. You know, I should have 9 lines deep of everybody saying we never wanted him to leave. Maxx wanted to leave. That's okay. Maxx wanted to leave. Now, I will admit this, and I haven't talked about it with Maxx privately, but you don't get a chance to do that again, in my opinion. You can't go, Clay. I don't know if you'd agree with this. Maxx wanted to go out. Baltimore was the pick, and Maxx was okay, flew there. He can't do that again. Like, I don't think next year he could say, if the Raiders don't play well with Mendoza and the Raiders only win 4 games or 6, I don't think Maxx is going to go to Mark and say, I want out again. I don't think he would. I know him pretty well, but we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and at that point, what kind of compensation you could get from this time around, that second time around. And if you're not going to get what you want, then you're probably going to find a way of, like, let's just keep everybody at home.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to find what's the grass greener somewhere else.
Yep. Thor, Raider Nation Drinking Club in Summerlin. Hello, Thor.
JT, my brother, is some Modelo Friday at Tito's and Soda Friday. Also, I'm ready. I'm ready to get this week over and stop talking about all this at some point. You know, JT, everyone has an opinion, and everyone has, you know what they say, and most of them stink. So, whatever. Maxx, I'm so happy Maxx is back because I never wanted Maxx to leave, and I hope Maxx stays. We don't know what's going to happen. We really don't. I believe that maybe he saw we were doing things to get there, and then when that happened, he was like, "Oh wow, look at these linebackers we got here.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some corners. We got Lalalu or however you say his name, and Butler and me, and with these linebackers here, we're going to be able to do something." Man, I'm excited to see this rebuilding or retooling or resetting or whatever people want to say. Every year you have to read something to me. It's not rebuilding the whole thing over. It's just reinventing your team every single year. And maybe he likes the way this is re-upping.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go. And he's like, okay, our defense is going to be so much better. And now we got the big guy in the middle on the offensive line, and it's going to help Jesse, and that's going to help the defense. It's going to keep us off the field a little more. And he was like, okay, I'm excited. I'm ready. We don't know Maxx. Like, I don't hang out with Maxx. I don't know what's in his mind like that. And I'm hoping, because I'm a hopeful Raider fan. I want to win, and I want this to go down right. And I'm hoping he's just seeing that, and he says, let's go get this, Raiders. I'm back.
Okay.
I'm ready. And he said he was a Raider for life, and he wanted to be a Raider for life. All I can do is take him at his word. And so it happens for a reason.
Right.
Let's do it. Let's run the clock. Let's get it, JT.
Thanks, Thor. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, Thor in Summerlin. You know, people change their minds. In sports, we don't like that. We hate it in politics. Politicians do it daily, hourly. Right? We don't like it in sports, but it happens. A lot of people went through a lot this week, mostly Maxx Crosby and his wife, Rachel. I think John Spytek went through a lot, right? He's a young GM. He's never been through this before. Most haven't. So with everything that we're talking about going forward, a lot of people went through a bunch this week emotionally. Not physically, but just emotionally. And there's much bigger things in life. The loss of a family member, financial problems, other issues in life. There are big things in life that are much more important than this contract or not. But for us, it's the world, because I don't want to wait till September 2027 to watch the Raiders play a meaningful game. I'm done. No way. Don't tell me that this whole coming next year is just a waste and we're just here to see some new kids play well. There's too many veterans on this team that just signed who are good players that want to win. I mean, go to the playoffs. Let me just be the first to say that. I don't care if the win total goes from 5.5 to 6. I'm talking for this team to get to 8 or 9 wins in a blink of an eye at some point because they play well, because they have really good players. Really good players, and they're not getting boat raced like they did last year against the Commanders. They're not getting humiliated the way Daniel Jones had his ball cap on in the fourth quarter, pulled from the game because the Colts kicked our ass. That ain't happening next year with Mendoza, Genti, Bowers, and Max and these linebackers. No one's going to humiliate the Raiders next year and put up 40 on them, and the Raiders got like 14 points. We can see what's happening here. That's the monologue as we open up the show. Brought to you by La Casa Cigars right there in Tivoli Village. Head on out to La Casa. They're great. I mean, Friday night, their live music is second to none. You want to go see some free music, have a stick, have a cigar, have a cocktail, or go to La Casa, sit outside with this weather. Bring your friends. I think if you go there, you'll love it. It'll be a cool new hangout. If you're on that side of town, come. It's one of the best cigar lounges I've ever been to. Thanks to Mike and the whole team there. All right, I'm working on Andrew Brandt, who I think is going to join us. He's really good. He's really good as the former Packer executive. And he's got great opinions on this story. And then wasted talent at the top of the hour as we begin on a Modelo Friday, JT in Vegas. Another 30-minute monologue. Another 30 minutes of greatness.
Imagine like the afternoon. I mean, even my late night show on ESPN Game Night, that's 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific time. I mean, you can imagine that thing being over at 7 o'clock in Hawaii. Oh, man, you couldn't tell me nothing. Let that bad boy be over at 7 p.m. I might learn how to swim. Just because I had the space and the opportunity. I ain't no swimmer, but I might turn into Michael Phelps. I'm just saying.
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness, weekdays at 2.
Raiders, what are they putting out? More signings.
The Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out
That's
of hand.
monologue in sports. Thank you. I take pride in that.
Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New
A
York
shave tonight, man. So, yeah, I did a new podcast. If we can put the link up in here, my son can. We did a podcast on the Academy Awards today. Lights, Camera, Jackson. Jackson Murphy was discovered when he was like 6 years old as a music critic, movie critic, and he's been with us over a decade, and we went through every category. I like movies a lot, so I kind of wanted to preview the Oscars. You probably haven't watched a third of the movies, but maybe if you want to watch the Oscars, watch that podcast. All
The
right.
Vegas Golden Knights are rolling through another epic season. And there's nothing more refreshing than an ice-cold Surfside to enjoy while you cheer on your Knights on the ice. Surfside is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and 0 bubbles. That's right, no carbonation. So it's easy to sip and enjoy. It's not seltzer, it's Surfside, official partner of the Vegas Golden Knights. Sold in arena and at bars, restaurants.
Florida 70, Kentucky 63. So last year, I'm in a bracket contest I've been in for probably 15 years. Big bracket contest, $20 entry, that's it. And I won it. I actually won it. I think it was $600 I won. You know, it was fun. Paid for a nice dinner, but I picked Florida to win it all. And I might pick Florida again. Florida looks great. They really look good.
And nationwide customization. You need safety and compliance. We have your back.
USA Baseball on tonight.
Nevada's essential workers keep
Yeah.
our state running.
Fox or
Now,
FS1
one
now.
Nevada credit union wants to help you own a piece of the state you support. Eligible home buyers can receive up to $20,000 in down payment assistance to use towards your down payment, closing costs.
Yeah, anybody in the chat, tell me if they play pickleball. So I picked it up a week ago in Florida. Went out and bought the racket, played today. I'm pretty good from the baseline and at the net. It reminds me of ping pong, standing on top of a ping pong table, right? If you can envision that. Fun. A lot of jabbing, a lot of moving side to side. And you can play with different levels of talent. So you can play with guys who are really good. Like today, I played with a guy who was really good. And I held my own. But then, playing with some women who kicked our ass that were better. It's a fun little sport.
BetterHelp.com today for details. See website for details. Lending Store is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old and not available in all states.
Terribles Tuesday just got
Okay, so besides and Woodson, I can ask him about his injury history, what he was a free agent.
How long is it?
Mid-30s.
All right, I'll throw it to that because we had Charles on. We had Rod on. Didn't we have him
He
on?
didn't play it.
We didn't play it.
He didn't play it.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
That's good. Thanks.
You'll walk out with exactly what you're craving. Terribles Tuesday, exclusively on the Terribles Plus Rewards app. Your daily routine rewarded, deliberately different.
Big news, Las Vegas. PT's Taverns just changed the game. Introducing all new progressive.
Florida beats Kentucky 71-63.
We're talking both dollar and quarter per
I would assume Kentucky's not getting in the tournament. They're a 9 seed in the SEC. Are they getting in? They're 21-13. Maybe they get in. Well, I don't want to get injured, Smoke, playing pickleball. I don't. I'm not interested in getting hurt. Yeah, I don't want any. Let's not manifest any Achilles injuries.
The Las Vegas Aviators will look to defend their Pacific Coast League title as they head into another campaign. The Aviators will start off the season on Friday, March 27th.
Aviators baseball, huh?
Homestand, the first 3 against the Salt Lake Bees. And then they'll welcome the Oklahoma City Comets in for 6
come back with the winter
games.
bomb.
So
And
oil
Raiders.
those gloves
You
up
trust
and
the
get ready
Raiders?
for
Yep.
another exciting season of Aviators baseball.
Anybody there on hold? No.
Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Yeah, it means a lot. Don't take that lightly. I appreciate the opportunity, but at the end of the day, I got to prove it on the field. I got to prove it every day. And how I come in the building, earning my coach's trust, the players' trust, and just thankful for the opportunity. But just excited to get to work and get to meet the guys.
Yeah. Tyler Linderbaum, JT, back with you. Open lines, we should never have one. We should never have one. I've taken more calls than any one times 100 in Raider radio history. So if you want to get in on a Friday, a Modelo Friday, you're welcome to join us. How have you handled Maxx Crosby, the saga? I think that's a fair word. The saga all week. How are you with it going into your Friday? What's the good, the bad, and the ugly on this? I think it's great. I'm happy. I'm happy he's back, but I'm not guaranteeing he's going to be here. I'm not, but I'm thrilled he's back. Thrilled. I mean, I couldn't be happy because I never wanted him to leave. Nor did I think he should leave. When other people are talking about that, well, is he going to be here or not? You heard my opinion on that. It was pretty strong. It wasn't wishy-washy. It wasn't sitting on a fence. It was pretty strong. I mean, look at the content we had this week, the best content in Vegas. Imagine having to talk about UNLV basketball all day. All due respect to Josh Pastner. I was there yesterday. They won their first play-in game, and they acted like they were cutting down the nets. Okay, that wasn't a good look. It's a good look because the coach is really excited, and he's an excitable coach, and I'm all for energy. Josh Pastner's good. But, man, how far has the program fallen when people are jumping up and down like little kids winning a play-in game and then getting smoked by Utah State? Yeah, if you want to take something good out of it, go ahead and do it. But, again, I'm coming off the worst Raider season of my career, so it's not like I'm doing victory laps with Raiders, but the Raider content has been pretty incredible. 702-365-9200. So quick story. Monday, I had Rod Woodson on my SiriusXM show to talk about this whole thing with Max before he ended up getting traded. We couldn't play it here. So we had this gold. We had like 15 minutes of gold with Rod Woodson, and then it was gone, right? Because Max is back, and we talked about what Max would do in Baltimore. So Clay and I decided not to play it for obvious reasons because it was dated. And if I get a good interview with a Hall of Famer, I'm going to play it on multiple platforms. So we had to scratch that. But we found out that Rod Woodson was on the Rich Eisen show, and Rod goes back with Rich a long time from their days on NFL Network. And here's what Rod Woodson had to say about the scenario.
So when you went on your free agency tour and you went to Baltimore, how many independent doctors looked at you back then?
Gosh, independent doctors?
Yeah. Well, they bring please, the whole thing from you, because I remember your medical history. Just call me Rich MD, Richie Hauser MD. How many independent doctors look?
I just went to the one doctor.
Interesting. Times change, huh? Times change.
Times have changed. It's kind of crazy. It's like, listening to the whole thing that happened with Max, it was a head scratcher to me for the fact that normally the Ravens don't do deals like that, right? They give away 2 number 1 picks, especially not knowing at that point that you're going to lose Linderbaugh. I think you kind of had an idea, though. Lose Keaton Mitchell, right? I mean, you get rid of your 2 number 1 picks over the next couple of years, and then now you need bodies. And on top of that, the caveat, Rich, is if they have not talked to Nnamdi Madubuike and seen if he's going to come back and be healthy, because if he is, that matchup with Maxx Crosby now with Henderson, it'd have been awesome. But if he's not playing and now they just going to slide protection toward your best rusher, then that trade would have been no good anyway. It'd have been a head scratcher.
Let's board a Rod Woodson with Rich Eisen. 702-365-9200. I wish he could join me on a Modelo Friday because I know he likes to smoke a little bit more than drink. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Stoner Dude.
Oh, I'm celebrating, JT. My way, of course. But I digress. I was distraught, and still, it's like you said, it's been a roller coaster ride, JT. Up and down. When I first saw those pictures of the, fans beaming Maxx Crosby wearing Ravens gear, I'm just like, no, this is like a nightmare to me. But I say let bygones be bygones, man, because he was the best player coming out. He's still the best player right now, as far as I'm concerned, until everybody else shows otherwise. But I got to say, man, Clint Kubiak, I got to give him lots of props on this. And, of course, John Spytek. I like a lot of these guys are bringing in. This seems like a real official grown-up football team, and that's the first time we've seen something like this in a while. Certainly a whole new look Raiders. I still don't know. I'm not sure if I like the defensive tackle position right now, JT. You know me, I've been calling every year since Haloti Ngata back in the early 2000s. Okay, I've been calling the defense. I wanted Jalen Carter when we took Tyreek.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about getting Jalen Carter now. Like, we could have already had that, and I still wouldn't take him. But if you're going to do a 3-4 defense, you need that big, giant monster in the middle to really be effective. And I know a lot of people are talking about the quarterback position. I myself made some predictions a little while ago. I think, even though I'm not a big Kirk Cousins guy, and I don't like the idea of guys coming in like that, but if you're going to go get a Fernando Mendoza, and you're going to still start a starter that, is a veteran quarterback that can help mentor a guy, I do like that name being tossed around compared to some of the other names, unless you're going to get somebody that I don't even know.
Oh, wait a second. Cousins would be perfect if he didn't demand more money. As Cousins makes more money than anybody I've ever seen when it comes to guaranteed. So, like Geno, the Raiders are paying for Geno Smith to play quarterback for the Jets. The Jets are going to have training camp, preseason, and a season with Geno. The Raiders are paying for that. The Raiders are still paying for Josh McDaniels' salary with the Patriots, right? Most of it. Well, if Kirk Cousins wants to play here for $10 million, which he's getting already from Atlanta, the $10 million's coming. Why doesn't he play here for 2, play for 12? It's a lot of money, and he doesn't have to play. He could be the mentor to Mendoza.
I'm not the one to tell a person how much money they should go make, but hey, man, they're at the end of your career. Maybe you can make a difference. Maybe even win on a championship team that can turn it around and do what others couldn't do. That would be impressive. So that's where I stand on all that, JT. I like the way things are going. I hope you have a killer time in Hawaii.
Yeah, hold on, Stoner Dude, because I don't partake when it comes around the circle, but if to get through Max's weekend on a Friday, is it an indica, is it a sativa, or is it a hybrid? Because the youngsters are talking about the hybrid now. How do you get through the Max? Is it indica, sativa, or a hybrid?
Well, now you're asking my professional expertise, which I can go ahead and explain that. I'm always a sativa guy because makes me happy. Run around, I can do things all day, be creative. The indigo is going to make you a little tired and maybe go to sleep and relax and kick back, which a lot of folks like to do. So I say go with the sativa, but then go for the hybrid. Work your way in.
Thank you, Stoner Dude. That is a very educated. That is very educational. If you do partake, if some people here in the chat, I guess, partake. So if you do, he says that he'll start with the. What do you say? He'll start with the sativa, and then go to the hybrid, Clay. That was a lot of that was over my head. Did you get a lot of what he said there?
Yeah, it kind of flew out in a puff of smoke.
Yes,
that
yes.
But take expert opinion when you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get an expert opinion, you should get one from Stoner Dude. 702-365-9200. I mean, what a week. What a week here, man. Come on. This is crazy. Crazy. I'm happy I was here this week. So let me just say this quickly, and then we'll come back. I was on a podcast today, and it's on my YouTube channel. Please watch it. I put a lot of work into it. Me and Looney and a guy by the name of Lights Camera Jackson, who became famous as a 6-year-old movie critic. So he went on The Tonight Show. He went on, Regis Philbin discovered him, and Regis was unbelievable to him. So anyway, we've been talking to this guy for 15 years, and we did a podcast today on the Academy Awards. Every category, we watch a lot of movies. And he reminded me, because it was Friday the 13th, that COVID started today. I said, oh, my God, you're right. You're right. COVID started today. And I said, I cannot believe you said that. I'm going to mention it on my show. And what was interesting about COVID starting, as we get back to it and when it began, when was the start of COVID and when it happened in China in 2019, and then when it came here. But the pandemic was declared on March 11th, 2020. Today is March 13th, but it was a Friday. So let me just tell you this quick story. I was leaving my house to go to get my credential for the Pac-12 championship. Pac-12. We had a radio show that day. So I got up in the morning and I had to drive down, I think it was to the MGM or T-Mobile. And I'm driving down Flamingo from the mean streets of Summerlin. I have the radio on. And Mark Cuban was on the radio show. I think he was on with Colin or Dan Patrick. And he said, it's over. Everything's getting canceled today. And I'll never forget pulling into the Palms parking lot. I made a big mistake. I should have got my credential. I should have kept driving, picked up the credential. I turned around in that Palms parking lot and I drove back home. And I remember saying, it's over. They're shutting down sports. And they shut down sports. Fast forward, I, along with Eric Allen and about 10 other people, were inside Allegiant Stadium for all the games that year with nobody else. It was one of the most surreal things of my life. I was in that building. It's one of the greatest Raider schedules I've ever seen. It had Tom Brady with the Buccaneers. It had Josh Allen with Buffalo. It was incredible. Justin Herbert. And you weren't allowed to leave. If you left the press box, you'd get fired. So if you were walking around like I always do Allegiant Stadium and I popped my head in on TV and someone saw me, fired. You had to stay in the press box, mask on, the whole thing. We did the whole season, the entire year. And everything got canceled, all the concerts. And then there was a point during the beginning of COVID when we got to June and July where people, Clay, weren't allowed to leave their homes. We were literally at home, no restaurants, no bars, no movies, no games, no sports. And I was doing a 4-hour show at night. Want to trade with me on that one? It was 2 hours live, and then we replayed the 2 to make it 4. And it was a struggle. There were no sports, 0. And that was 6 years ago today. Time moves, man. Things happen quickly. And you want me to rebuild? What? I sat in that stadium where you weren't allowed. You weren't allowed in that stadium. There's no one there. I heard Tom Brady talking to his teammates from the upper deck. And you want to rebuild? No. We had a season. COVID was a rebuild. No one could go to games. We're here to win games every time we play. All right. When we come back, quick update. We'll tell you what's happening with USA Baseball. This manager for USA Baseball is nuts. Does he even know what time the game is? They got to wake him up. They have to knock on his door and say the game counts. And the Dominicana, Oh, the Dominicans, man. Man, they're into baseball.
Busy Boots Automotive offers fast, reliable auto repair services, including diagnostics, brake repairs, engine work, and more. Busy Boots provides spot tests, oil changes, and free towing with qualifying repairs. Enjoy free Wi-Fi and complimentary refreshments.
I'll get to. Let's start with Mikey and Mike, please.
Fast, friendly, and convenient. Busy Boots Automotive.
Yeah, that COVID story was real, man. That was rough. Yeah, the Dominicana, man. You know, I don't like their bat flips. Don't give me any shit about bat flips. I don't like the freaking stupid bat flips. I don't. Don't tell me it's fun or not. Who cares? I don't like it. You can like it. I drill someone in the ribs if they hit a home run and they throw the bat 30 feet in the air and start dancing to first. I drill them in the ribs. Judge has got to wake up, and so does Bryce Harper. Yeah, I got Vinny filling in for me next week for a few days. Going on a golf trip with my son. My other son and my wife are staying back, and we're going on a golf trip. Playing golf not too far away from where Sawgrass is, TPC. Wasted Talent coming up at 105. Anybody have these extra chargers? They're pretty cool. Anybody have these chargers? I like them.
Catch all the games on their 78 million pixel screen while you feast on Coney Dogs by American Coney Island and complimentary.
Who's doing this commercial class?
Special activations from the new hometown team, the A's. And oh yeah, mom's drink free. Don't miss the first day of baseball at Circa Resort and Casino. Visit Circa Las Vegas.
An A's commercial. That's Circa.
JT for the Black Hole.
Yeah.
Fans. If you're a diehard Raider fan, this is your home. Become a member today and receive 20%
Combos, huh?
purchases, hotel discounts for home and away games, access to members-only merchandise, and much more. All memberships are now lifetime memberships. Once a member, always a member. If you bleed silver
I'll get to
black,
Mikey
visit
first.
theblackhole.com today. That's theblackhole.com.
If it's for the truck, give us a call. We got it. For the Truck is your premier truck shop. Our suspension experts will take your ride to the next level. Steps, wheels, bumpers, suspensions, tires, covers.
Yeah, people were freaking out that I said I could give a shit when anybody says, you know me. This week I watched the Elvis movie, Elvis in the movies, which was great. And I watched that Melania documentary with my wife. It was damn cool, Clay. The First Lady gave unbelievable access behind the scenes. It's not political. It isn't. She showed you areas of the White House and the private residence and stuff that it was unbelievable. Private jets, and it was like really interesting. But again, people just can't watch without being a politically triggered lunatic. The market's getting crushed. I got crushed in the market today. The market's going down because there's a war. There's a major war going on.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Casa Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
JT, back with you. Someone asked me why I'm a stockbroker, former stockbroker. Why is the market down? Oh, we're in a war, a massive war. Like many countries, that's why the stock market's down. Just buy and hold long term. You'll be fine. Mikey in Staten, Italy. We talk about the market from time to time and other things. What's going on, Mikey?
Hey, JT. Yeah, it's never a good time for a war, but never a good time for a war when we're intimately involved in the stock market. But hey, like you say, you've taught me one thing besides sports, JT, is about a little stock strategy. And you don't worry about the dips, and you don't get too high when they're high, and you don't get too low when they're low. But that's a great thing. Hey, JT, I called you one reason. You've been with the Raiders the longest. Can you tell me what is the atmosphere of Mendoza coming into the Raiders as the 1-1? Back when we had Russell was the 1-1. What's the build-up? Were there other teams trying to trade for Russell? What was the circumstances for Raider Nation back then?
Well, that was a really interesting question. We were up in Napa. Everybody wanted Jamarcus Russell. He was a number one pick. He was a lock. 10 other teams would have taken him at number one. 10 other teams would have taken him at number two. There was no thought process. Very similar to now. Everybody would take Mendoza at one. Everybody. But, when Jamarcus Russell came out, he played unbelievable in the postseason like Mendoza did too, but he didn't have the work ethic of Mendoza. He wasn't as smooth as Mendoza, but he was a can't-miss prospect, big, strong, massive arm, played in big games, and Mr. Davis thought he would change the franchise being a really good quarterback. It didn't work out.
Do you think that changed their approach to this Mendoza where they're
No.
taking all the time and they're not resting on their laurels like they give them the one to look at with Mendoza compared to Russell?
Yeah, this is a slam dunk, Mikey. This is a slam dunk. I don't remember. And thanks for the call, brother. I got to run. We're up against it. I don't remember a decision for the Raiders at number one being this easy in a long time. First off, the Raiders don't get the number one pick often. And the Jamarcus Russell pick, as he asked, was a really easy pick. It was very easy. It was the pick. It was the right pick at the time. In hindsight, it wasn't. But at that time, I was also covering the draft where it was Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, 50-50. 50-50. That's how highly sought after Ryan Leaf was. Everybody wanted Ryan Leaf if they didn't want Peyton Manning. Didn't work out. Sometimes picks don't work out. Alfred in Ontario, California. Thank you.
Hello. I want to start off by saying Raider Nation for life.
Yes.
And I also wanted to say, for all the players and people that say Max coming back to the Raiders won't work, I want to remind everyone, Kobe Bryant did it. And guess what? Max has always looked up to Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, you're right about that. Thank you. That's a good point. I was living in L.A. in that summer when Kobe was looking at getting traded. That was a big topic on sports radio. I lived it. Yeah, there's no doubt Kobe was interested in leaving. The Raiders looked dysfunctional. Everything calmed down. Then Kobe went on and won more championships with a guy by the name of Pau Gasol. Worked out well. Hour number one, final hour of the week coming up on this Maxx Crosby Friday. Wanted your opinion on the whole week and how you're handling it. Wasted talent next. Be right back, everybody. Be right back. Mike Pritchard. Love that. Rich, my God.
Now you got defenses guessing. So if you look at Clint and what he was with Seattle and what he's been about, he was 50-50 spot on and put so much pressure on linebackers and safety. That's hard to defend.
The Morning Tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Plumbers, HVAC techs, contractors, and DIYers. McFadden Dale Industrial Hardware has the tools, parts, and supplies to power your next project. Open early and stocked with everything you need. Stop by South Decatur near Russell. McFadden Dale Industrial Hardware. Fast, easy, and built for the pros.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full-flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste. Brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly. Hey, it's JT. Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New York-style coal-fired brick oven pizza. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Vegas Valley, or check them out online at Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
Hey, Vegas, it's Clay Baker with Zero Res. You know, in Southern Nevada, we all seem to experience the allergies year-round, but in fact, the EPA says the indoor air quality in our homes can be 200 to 500 times worse than the outside. Why? It's our air ducts. They're like the lungs for our home and so many other contaminants. Air duct cleaning is an essential part of your home maintenance, which is why Zero Res developed a revolutionary air duct cleaning process, which really has been recognized as breakthrough technology.
Moving along. We need to get you out of here. You don't need to be here on Friday past 2, let alone past 1. You know? All right, final hour of the week, which was a really wild week, man. Really crazy week. I mean, imagine being in Nashville with the Titans. They just got a new uniform. There's like no news. Imagine being a Charger fan. Imagine being a who are the teams that have done nothing? The Broncos didn't do anything. We had a big week of radio with a lot of content.
An official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full-flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
Worry about your car payment? Don't be.
What do I mix in my Tito's? Matter of fact, we're pausing with Tito's for a bit in the off season, so I might be trying a new vodka, but I like Tito's a lot. I have seltzer water. I have Tito's and soda. Freddie Bolitnikoff has Tito's on the rocks. On the rocks. Yeah, Arnold Palmer's good, man. I like the Arnold Palmer. Speaking of that, Clay, is there any way I can get the golf on, please? The players. Players would be on Golf Channel if we have it. I think we might. Yeah, I love watching golf, man. I love watching golf. There it is. Thank you. Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, that's good. All the Inside Out characters, and I was like,
ooh.
And then my parents were like, whoa.
Oh.
Guess what? Bluey and Bingo.
Shoffley, 10 under. A-Berg, 10 under.
During the 70th celebration with Paint the Night Parade, World of Color
There's the Canadian number
Bluey's
4.
best day ever. Coming soon. Save with Good Neighbor Hotel packages starting at $164 per person per night on select days through March 31st, 2026. Per party of 4 adults, including 2-day, 1-park per day tickets and a 3-night stay at a select Good Neighbor Hotel in a deluxe room. Total price $1,960. Visit Disneyland.com/Good Neighbor Hotels for details.
Wake up with the morning tailgate with Clay Baker.
All right, wasted talent coming up.
Raider Nation Radio 920 AM, KRLB Las Vegas.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You just get up every day and you take one step at a time and you keep going and you show up. We have a big mountain to climb, but we're not trying to do it all in one day.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's really important to me that we're a gritty team that the way that they were back in the old days. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field. All the little things that went that have nothing to do with ski.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Yes, JT, what a week it's been. It's our final hour of the week, and it's been a long week. Really long week, but a lot of content. And I was telling the chat, if you want to get in here, you could talk to us and make some new internet friends. And you might meet your wife in my chat. Then you'd invite me to the wedding. If you met your wife on the JT the Brick YouTube channel, you'd probably invite me to the wedding. JT the Brick YT on YouTube, as we're getting there, one brick layer at a time. So the expectations for this team, they've drastically changed in a matter of a couple of days. It just depends on where you think the team is. I don't believe in rebuild. I don't believe in it, never will. I don't think professional football players should be told they're on a bad team and they're going to need to suck and get better and rebuild. I don't think that's the way you conduct business. I'll never agree to it. If you think they need to do a reset or go younger and all this, but you still have to have veterans on the team, still have to have players that want to play. So this week with Linderbaum, Quay Walker, Jalen Naylor, Kwity Paye, I mean, come on. Whole bunch of players showed up on Monday that I didn't expect to be here. I had no idea that Kwity Paye would be here with Quay Walker. Jalen Naylor, who I watched play high school at Bishop Norman, I didn't think he would be here. So John Spytek, as everybody says, was cooking. A very busy week. Very good week. And then Maxx Crosby fell back to the organization as he was on the trade block. And a lot of people are having problems with that, right? A lot of people are having problems with that overall and how this works out in the long run. It is complicated. No one's saying it's not complicated. It's very complicated. But now that Max is back and he's going on Instagram and his platform saying he's happy to be back, I would hope that the Raiders are happy to have him back. But I'm not positive on a scale of 1 to 10 if they're all at an 11. Well, they're at like a 7 or 8. I'm at a 10. I want Max back. I never wanted him to leave. And I said in the first hour of the show that I think this has been a horrible week for NFL media. Might be the biggest miss of a week that I've seen in quite some time. Just flat out, everybody got it wrong. I actually took the tweet down. I tweeted it last night. But I took the tweet down when I said, everybody got it wrong. because I meant it at the time, but then I took it down and said, no, that's probably not a good tone to have. And what was the tone? That everyone in NFL media got the Maxx Crosby situation wrong. No one knew he'd fail a physical. No one knew he'd go to Baltimore, come back. No one knew that the Raiders would trade him and take him back and he'd be in the building. As in no one. Zero. So everybody got it wrong. Now, we all had opinions on what could happen, but if your opinion was he's definitely getting traded, he's going to the Bears, it's between the Bears and the Eagles, you were wrong. Now, I think there's more to the story, and that's why we bring in Wasted Talent. What a job he does with his podcast on all of his platforms, and he's kind enough to join us. And I'm not going to speak for you and your audience, but it was a hell of a week, man. There's a lot of content that fell into your lap from all the players that signed, that most of them were unexpected, to the Maxx Crosby drama. How did you deal with it?
I mean, excitement. The Maxx Crosby thing to me was a blessing in disguise, man, because when they signed all of these players, the Kobe Deans, the Quay Walkers, the Quiddy Bays, most Raider fans, and from myself, the first thing I thought was, man, what would this look like if Maxx was still here? Like, it kind of sucks that Maxx isn't still here. And then the very next day, everything happened with Maxx Crosby. And now, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, it's almost fate, right? Like, I couldn't imagine Maxx Crosby really playing for another team. It didn't feel right when it was all happening to begin with. And I'm kind of glad that everything worked out the way it did. And now we're going to get a season to see Maxx have a lot of talent around him.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. But the way it was handled, are you still in a position that he still could be traded? Because the way this has been, I have to leave every door open now because I'm like you. I'm thrilled. I am thrilled that he is back. I'm thrilled. But the way everybody around the league is talking about this, they're like, don't guarantee anything because things are changing quickly. How do you see that?
I totally agree. I mean, the only thing that's for sure is nothing for sure in the National Football League. They say not for long, right? And the whole time this was going on with Maxx Crosby, I knew that it's a distinct possibility because of his, the way things were handled, and from his perspective. He didn't say much. John Spivak was non-committal, and he was non-committal. And, the business of football always reigns supreme.
Mm-hmm.
We have to realize, feelings aside, loyalties aside, it's a business. So, there's definitely a chance that Maxx might not always be here, but just based off of what he's been saying, which is not much, is that he fully intends to be a Raider, and that, the Raiders were never the ones who were looking to shop him around and trade him. From what I understand, he made his intentions known to the organization, and they did the right thing by Maxx. And they handled it very classy, and he handled it classy so that the Raiders were in a position to get the haul that they got from Baltimore. And things just didn't work out. And if you really look at it from now going forward, it's always going to be in most people's mind that, the Raiders are willing to trade him and Maxx is willing to play for somebody else. It's no longer, Maxx will never play for anybody else. We can't die on that hill anymore. But, right now, I think it makes the most sense for him just to stay here. They pretty much built the defense up and put more talent around him than he's ever had in his career. You drafted the number one pick. Hopefully they draft Fernando Mendoza, and then, you're looking at a situation where the Raiders are about to head into kind of like a springtime, so to speak, JT. I think the Raiders are about to turn this thing around for real. Like, not just for opium, like, just based off of just the way this offseason has gone. This has been the best offseason that I can remember since like 1999. This is the best offseason. This is one of the best. To me, I think we have one of the best GMs in football, the way John Spivak has handled everything. I have full faith that things are going to turn around in a big way, and I think Maxx is probably going to want to stay here. I don't think he really wanted to leave in his heart of hearts to begin with. You know what I mean? He just, not to ramble on, but he is a guy that personifies what this organization is about. I just can't see him wanting to leave now.
I agree with you. I don't think he can. I can't. I mean, look, if they say we're trading you, this is the deal. We're taking 2 number 2s. You're going to Chicago. That's the best offer we have, and we want you out. I don't see that happening. But if they do, Maxx is going to have to pack his bags and go to Chicago or Philly and play there on better teams and better rosters as of today. But what I think changed on Monday was the fact that they rebuilt the team with 7 new starters, possibly 8. I mean, Eric Stokes coming back, a new kicker, because I thought our old kicker was pretty good. Let's put them aside. The linebackers that came out, the slot corner from Buffalo, Naylor, the receiver. I started looking around at the players that they added, then Linderbaum. I'm like, man, this is impressive here. Tyler Linderbaum would not be here on a rebuild. Would you admit that? Like, if Tyler Linderbaum was the only guy that the Raiders got in free agency and, say, re-signed Stokes and got nobody, I don't think Tyler Linderbaum would have been pretty happy. He would have took the money because the money was ungodly. But I think he would have came in going, really? I'm the only guy you got? They got sick. They couldn't even fit all the new teammates that he had at the press conference there. They put 3 next to him.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Linderbaum, to me, and we spoke about this even before the season about, upcoming free agents and talking about Tyler Linderbaum possibly being a fit. And he's even more of a fit now because of the blocking scheme that Kubiak runs. And he spoke to that when he got signed. So, the Raiders really, really have gone about this offseason. It's almost been like a dream because it's not just them going out there and signing names. They're signing people who fit exactly what Kubiak wants to do. They're signing people in positions of need. And with this wide zone concept, having a center that can call out protection and things like that is imperative. To me, he was the number 1 get in all free agents throughout the National Football League. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, hey, the Raiders really, really only need to fill in a couple of more positions, and they have one of the better rosters in the league.
Yeah.
Not right now, but if they have a couple of more guests out there, they can really field a pretty competitive roster this year.
Wasted talent. That's a great way to sum this up. I love this topic. What do the Raiders need that's left? I'm not talking crazy stuff, but I'm like, are you good with Palomal and Chin as the starters? I'm not. I thought they were okay. I thought they were okay. If you bring them back, they're experienced more. They get another off season with Rob Leonard. They're only going to get better. By the way, I agree with it. I think Chin and Palomal will get better, Isaiah Palomal, but I think they're much better players in the league than Isaiah Palomal, but they might be sold on him. Stokes is one of the corners. Porter, they seem to be interested in. Caillou, whatever the competition is going to be there. And where do you stand on the right tackle? So fill in the rest of the holes for me in a perfect situation, even though it's not perfect.
Perfect situation for me is them going out there prioritizing, the right tackle. And they need a zero tech too, running the 3 up to 3-4. They definitely need a big boy up in the middle of that defensive line. I think they can address that in the draft with guys like Kate McDonald, guys like that, some of those big over 340-pound guys. I would love to see the Raiders go out there and address that right tackle. To be real with you, when I see DJ Blaze, to me he projects more as a guard, and I've always felt that way. But Charles Grant is a kid who, to me, is looking like I really would like to see him with more snaps because I didn't really see him lose a snap last year when he actually did get the chance to play. So he might be the answer at right tackle. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that. But just like you said, JT, job 1 to me is going out there and getting the corner. I'm surprised that the Raiders didn't go out there initially in the beginning of free agency and sign a guy like a Jaquan Brisker. Like he's a guy. I think he signed 1 year, $5 million. But there's always that post-draft, secondary, post-June 1st free agent market as well. And the Raiders still have, even with Maxx Crosby's money coming back on the books, they still have a significant amount of money to make some changes. So I would probably be looking for the Raiders to go and address the safety position in the draft, and also bringing in a veteran to kind of hedge their bet to make that room and fill that room out. As far as the corner room, I like what we have, and I think that if they get another rookie in there, they'll have a nice little mix of guys in there. And then also, Cameron Richardson is a guy that was drafted a few years ago and people have forgotten about. And I really want to see how he can respond to Rob Leonard and this new scheme.
Oh, but why? But why? I mean, we've seen DCam not be able to play in the league at any level other than special teams. Maybe you're right. Maybe one more camp with him where he could get cut in camp if he doesn't play to a higher level, I'm all right with. I think there's still a bunch of players that are going to be fighting for jobs in camp because they're going to end up being position role players. And, man, I was talking to a Hall of Famer the other day who said, you better have 7 linebackers. You better have 4 in the 3-4. And that's not a guarantee they're going to play 3-4, by the way. That's not a guarantee. But if they do play 3-4, you need 4 starting linebackers, 2 backups that can fill in for those guys if they get banged up. And normally another 2 linebackers on special teams who are special team linebacker type tacklers. They got a lot more linebackers that they still got to look at via the draft. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir. And you know, the one thing that I've always wanted them to do, and we spoke to this a few months ago, is to get young at linebacker. Get young at linebacker, get some fast, young, aggressive linebackers that are going to be out there and be healthy. And this draft is one of those drafts that a lot of people are saying that, you know, it's not the best draft. I think this draft, I think a lot of people are sleeping on a lot of the players that are in this draft. This draft, you know, you have the last of the kids who got like that COVID year. So there's some guys that are a little long in the tooth. You got some 24, 25-year-old guys out there that are going to come in the league and be productive right off the bat. And there's a lot of choices to, you know, in the mid-rounds to pick up some linebacker help, pick up some safety help. I'm just super excited for what the Raiders can do because of the way they attack their free agency. They can really go and just prioritize after they select their quarterback, just BPA every single round. And they have a lot of picks, too. They got some compensatory picks coming up. So I think that the Raiders are in a good position to really turn this roster around year one, especially after the draft, the post-June 1st designations, the guys that are getting cut, they can kind of go and walk down the hill and pick the person that's right to fit into what they're trying to run with Rob Leonard. You know, because like you said, you know, 3-4 is not a guarantee, and a lot of times, even if that's their base defense, they're still going to be in sub packages and things of that nature. So you got to have a really, really versatile roster for guys that are able to switch in and out of that scheme. So I'm just super excited.
You seem pretty chill other than the weather. Don't tell me you're going to get banged here with another snowstorm.
I'm praying that we don't. I saw some snow flurries yesterday, and I got PTSD. I'm just hoping. It was 80 degrees for 3 days, and then it snow flurries yesterday. So I'm praying that it doesn't snow. I'm praying, man. I don't want to see any more snow. I'm to the point where I'm about to sell everything and move out west with you, man. You
get out here, we got a spot for you. I promise you. You get out west, we got a spot for you. Have a great weekend, man. Appreciate you.
You do the same, man. Thank you, Jay.
All right, that's Wasted Talent. At Wasted Raiders, follow him. He's very good. That's why we have him on here. I did not discover him. Who discovers anybody? Nobody. But I heard him, and I was on his show. I'm a big fan of putting people on the radio who deserve to be on the radio. He deserves to be on the radio because he's really good. Really good. And it's not just me saying that. A lot of people hear him and are like, man, that guy's good. Got a better voice than me after this week, man. I can barely talk. That's why I got my bucket of Modelo's here in about 20, 30 minutes. 702-365-9200. We want to hear from you before we get out of here. Aloha to Michael in Hawaii, where one of my best friends is coming in Saturday for a week in Maui. Hope that rainstorm goes away. I heard it's a big one.
JT, aloha. Yeah, actually, it's so bad. We actually canceled schools and other things today because it's just gnarly rain and wind. But should be clearing early next week. So let's hope for the best. One thing I wanted to kind of get into real fast is, you know, the way it all went down with Max. I think it really shed light to what a class organization the Raiders are in the context that they kept all their contracts. They could have easily punked out, said, oh, well, we don't have the money, which they do. So, you know, maybe quitty pay or whatever. They honored every single contract they signed. And I just think moving forward with agents and other stuff, I just think it makes the Raiders look like a class act. So I just wanted to kind of shout that out, give them kudos. And as far as the draft, real fast, you know, ways to touch it on this, I really hope we do go right tackle now. I like that kid Lomu a lot. I actually ref over here on the weekend to see a lot of these young kids coming up, Polynesian kids, but Lomu looking really good. So I hope we go right tackle. And also, it is a good draft for rounds 3, rounds 4. I know you don't like some of those guys jumping in, but I think there's going to be some good talent available in rounds 3 or 4. So I'm very excited. And lastly, I think Max returning, which I hope he stays.
at Alzado coming over from the Broncos.
Yes.
Plunkett was a cast off. We took him into the fold. And Max was a hot product. Everybody loved Max. Now all of a sudden, no, we didn't want him. He's damaged, whatever this garbage that was going out there. He's going to be remotivated. Oh, you don't want me? I'll tell you what, I got something to show you this year. So I think this is going to be the theme for an entire year moving forward. We're going to build around this. It's going to galvanize it. Anyways, have a great family.
Thank you. I'll be having a good time with my family next week. Vinny Bonsignor is in for me next week, back end of next week, and he's got great shows lined up. All right, when we come back, we got new sound coming in from Good Morning Football. I'm trying to get Andrew Brandt to come on in if he can. That would be a good guest to wrap up the week. Q's coming up at the top of the hour with a big show. And I'm watching the Players' Championship. There's two great golfers in the lead. Xander Schauffele, 10 under, and Oberg at 10 under. Two guys at 10 under. Good luck catching those guys. Schauffele ain't coming that far back from the pack. Thank you, everybody. Aloha. Stay safe, man. That weather in Hawaii is really rainy. I will talk to you guys Sunday. I'm on Mad Dog Sports Radio Sunday. Leading into Selection Sunday. That's a big show for me. So I got to get my head on right with the brackets. Also, my son's putting together a bracket contest. Get ready for that next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.